This unassuming painting has been a cherished family heirloom for decades. The artwork dates back to the 1960s, a vibrant creation by Jamini Roy, a renowned Indian artist. Roy's unique style, blending classical training with folk traditions, is evident in the piece. It entered the family in 1960, acquired directly from Roy's studio in Bombay. The appraiser identifies the medium as gouache on paperboard. The simplicity of the painting, a hallmark of Roy's work, reflects the era in which it was created. This very quality, the appraiser notes, is highly sought after by the collectors today. The owner recalls their family likely paying around $75 to $80 for the artwork. The appraiser mentions the rising popularity of Roy's work and the increasing significance of Indian art in the global market. Hence, she delivers the valuation, a staggering $7,000 to $9,000 at auction.
I would be estimating it between $7,000 and $9,000 at auction.
That's very much of a surprise, but nice to hear.
Our guest brought a collection of boxing cards inherited from his grandfather, who is both a boxer and a promoter. He possesses 21 out of the 26 T9 Turkey Red cabinet cards from 1910 to 1911. Coupons were included in packs of Turkey Reds, allowing collectors to send them in for specific boxers. Notable boxers in the collection include Abe Attell, known as the Little Champ, as well as Sam Langford and Stanley Ketchel. Present among the collections is Jim Jeffries, the world heavyweight champion, alongside Jack Johnson, a legendary figure considered the most significant boxer. The cards remain in excellent condition with vibrant color lithography. The set is highly collectible due to the quality of boxers and visual appeal.
If I'm going to put the collection in an auction, I'd appraise it at somewhere in the $1,000 to $1,500 range.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in this condition. Very cool. Great collection.
Well, thanks for the information.
What we have here is the Tiffany Studios inverted hanging shade brought to the show by our guest, who inherited it from her parents. This fascinating piece measures 33 inches in diameter and was made with a distinctive type of glass with some Aztec-style design around the edge, particularly attributed to Tiffany. The hardware design includes sockets attached to the arm, a pipe that goes up to the hanging shade, along with hanging chains, and support rods that holds the shade together. The most interesting aspect of this piece is its unique type of glass and the lack of finishes, indicating it was among the earliest Tiffany designs, dating back to around 1901. Interestingly, the attention to detail and the fact that this piece is unsigned substantiate its originality. The appraiser values it at around $100,000 to $150,000.
Good to know.
This Rolex Daytona Cosmograph was brought to the show by a guest who had inherited it from his dad. The watch was given the name Panda Dial because of its black and white color scheme, as well as its 3 subdials displaying different timing intervals, along with an outer tachymeter scale lining the outer ring. Additionally, the watch features a manual wind mechanism that produces a distinctive clicking sound and a screw-down waterproof crown, which is typical of Rolex watches with reference number 6263. Its serial number indicates that the watch was made in 1978. Color combination and the perfect condition of this watch place it among the most sought after by watch collectors, and the appraiser values it at around $95,000 to $100,000.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
This circa 1850 autograph album was brought to the show by our guest, who inherited it from his father. Though the autograph pages appear worn, they showcase a myriad of iconic autographs and manuscripts, including letters autographed by Longfellow and a card from Abraham Lincoln. The album also features autographs from Sam Houston, Andrew Johnson, and other iconic political figures in American history. Not only does this autograph album contain signatures from political figures, but it also includes those of other important individuals in American history, such as Stephen Foster, one of America's foremost songwriters and composer. Despite its worn appearance, the collection of signatures in this autograph album is a fascinating piece for any collector to behold. The appraiser values it at around $6,000 to $8,000.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
The guest presented a Civil War autograph collection that belonged to his great-great-grandfather. It was a scrapbook compiled during and after the Civil War. The appraiser praised the effort put into the collection, making it a piece of folk art. It included autographs from prominent figures like General Grant and General Sherman, found underneath their photographs. The other pages contain signatures from Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington. The guest's great-grandfather put a lot of effort into obtaining these signatures.
This one's one of the most beautiful pages in the book.
Oh, yes.
Confederate President Jefferson Davis. So he not only collected Union autographs, he also collected Confederate autographs. On this page, we have the commander of the Confederate forces, Robert E. Lee. Beautiful clipped signature.
One particularly notable signature was that of John Hunt Morgan, who captured the guest ancestor during the war. The appraiser valued the collection at,
I would want to insure this somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000.
Wow. Wow.
The guest purchased The First Men in the Moon from a local bookseller. This book was a first edition, originally published in 1901 in Indianapolis, Indiana. The guest pulled off a stroke of genius by getting the book signed by the first person to set foot on the moon. You got that right. He got the autograph of Mr. Neil Armstrong on the book. The best thing was that Mr. Neil Armstrong had written a personalized wish for the guest. So the book became a beautiful fusion of sci-fi and reality. The appraiser estimated the book to be worth between $3,000 to $5,000. However, the guest insisted that the book would remain in the family because of its value. The guest brought in a metal bear given by her uncle, originally belonging to her great-grandfather. The appraiser identified it as a bronze bear cub made by Anna Hyatt Huntington, a prominent sculptor of the 20th century, renowned for her prolific work. Anna Hyatt had a significant influence as a female artist. She had an amazingly long career and was active for more than 70 years until her death in 1973. The appraiser noticed the mark of Gorham Foundry on the piece, indicating that the bear was marked as number 4 out of 138 models cast by Gorham, likely around 1910. Considering the historical significance and craftsmanship, the appraiser valued the bear at around,
I would think for insurance purposes, you want to think of the figure at around $5,000.
Okay.
This beautiful clock was passed to the guest as a family heirloom. The clock was manufactured in Haverhill, New Hampshire by John Osgood.
John Osgood, interesting clockmaker. He was born in Andover, Massachusetts.
The guest mentioned seeing names inside the clock indicating repair or maintenance work, but beyond that, his knowledge was limited. The appraiser also noted various restoration efforts on the clock, including additions to the dial and changes to the case.
All the numbers have been relined and the signature has been strengthened underneath that.
The extensive restoration efforts on the clock dial raised suspicions that it was still John Osgood's clock. It was, and it had a stamp and serial number on the back. However, the restoration process decreased the value significantly.
But this clock would probably sell at auction in the $800 to $1,000 range.
The guest expressed acceptance of this evaluation.
Sure, all right. And that's okay.
This painting of the Porte Saint Denis, a Parisian landmark, holds a rich history and a remarkable artistic value. Painted by Czechoslovakian artist Emil Artur Longen.
He was a director, a painter, a writer, and he was an actor.
The painting was acquired by the guest's mother-in-law from a dear friend in Salt Lake City in the 1950s. The artist was born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in 1885 and passing away in the Czech Republic in 1936. He spent time in Paris in 1919, where he created this stunning piece depicting the bustling streets of Paris. The painting's brushwork is particularly impressive, with staccato brushstrokes capturing the essence of a summer day in Paris. Longen's works have fetched prices ranging from $2,000 to $20,000 at auctions, with this painting being considered one of his best works. The painting's estimated value at auction ranges from $30,000 to $50,000. This beautiful clock and vase are vintage Lalique pieces designed by René Lalique in 1924. René Lalique transitioned from jewelry to glassmaking, becoming a prominent figure in the 20th century design. The guest acquired the clock, named as Moineaux or Sparrows, from a woman in Australia who inherited it from her grandmother and obtained the vase, named Salon, from a flea market.
And then when I looked at it, I saw René Lalique on the bottom.
So how much did you pay for it?
I paid a few $100s for it.
The clock features the letters ATO, indicating clockworks made by the French company. It also bears the name of a specific retailer and the mark Made in France. The vase showcases Lilic's signature wheel-cut marking. Presence of the significant damage in the clock and cracks in the vase significantly diminish their respective values.
But I'm afraid your Ceylon is not worth any more today than perhaps $500 at auction.
Oh, really?
The clock holds a retail value of $800, and
I would say today at auction, it would sell for perhaps as much as $500 to $700.
Okay.
the vase marked Kwasana belonged to the owner's great-grandmother. The base inscription reads Long Wei alongside Clogione. Long Wei is the factory name, which means fencing, referring to the Asian enamel.
It's in the northeast corner of France.
Okay.
And they specialized in making pottery and porcelain.
It's a bride's basket featuring a rope twist top. Traditional cloisonne involves metal fences filled with enamel. Long Wei used black ink borders rather than metal wire work. Crackled glazing indicates its pottery nature. It's not porcelain. The vase likely dates back to the 1880s. The effort put into the piece transforms it into a beautiful piece of pottery.
I would say, at auction, you would be looking at a price of around $1,000 to $1,500. It's really a beautiful piece of pottery.
Wow.
Thanks for bringing it down.
Thank you.
Wrapped in history and cherished within the family, this Dutch clock hails from Rotterdam, tracing its origins back to the late 1600s. The maker's name is inscribed on it.
And then exported out of Holland to the rest of continental Europe, and other names ended up on them.
It showcases meticulous craftsmanship, and velvet was added later during restoration. Finely sculpted hands are a testament to its craftsmanship. Adorned with intricate engravings, the clock boasts notable features like an oddly shaped screw and a count wheel. It is one of the earliest pendulum clocks ever made, and despite its age, the clock is in good condition and still strikes accurately.
But the hammer up there causes it to strike the hour and the half hour, and it sounds.
The valuation factors in both the clock's originality and condition, while its historical significance further enhances its allure.
Given its condition, which isn't perfect, but which is nevertheless pretty much original, would bring in the area of about $7,500 to $8,500.
My goodness, that's fantastic.
A seasoned thrifter found this captivating picture of a snowy landscape at a thrift store on a scorching day. The image offered a welcome sense of coolness, and the guest felt drawn to it. The artwork is a rare etching titled Snow and Adobe by Jean Claus, a Bay Area artist who fell in love with New Mexico. She had a career that spanned more than 6 decades and made more than 600 etchings, of which this particular one is among the top 5. This particular etching, created in 1934, was one of only 35 impressions ever made, making it incredibly scarce. She signed it in pencil in the lower right, titled it lower left in pencil as well. The guest had initially debated buying the piece because of its cheap frame and rudimentary backing. She later discovered its true value when a gallery offered $2,000 for it, an offer they politely declined. The estimated current value of this etching is
at $10,000.
$1? $10,000?
The guest brought in a totem pole her mom bought as a souvenir during a trip to Thailand 30 years ago. The piece held sentimental value for the guest, but they were unsure of its origins. Despite its resemblance to a Haida pole, a traditional carving style from the Pacific Northwest of the United States, this totem pole was actually a reproduction made in Thailand, specifically for the tourist market. Several clues that gave it away are the unnatural shine of the paint, the stark contrast to the matte pigments used in traditional poles, and the type of wood used. Northwest coast poles are typically crafted from cedar, but this one was made from a wood native to Thailand. Regardless of this, the totem pole still had value as a decorative piece. Despite some damage, likely caused by an accident the guest mentioned, the estimated value is...
This would have a value of $100 to $200.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
So,
the guest found a dramatic print of the Battle of Gettysburg at a yard sale for just $50. The image resonated with her because of a childhood trip to the battlefield with her grandparents. The print is an 1872 engraving by John Sartain, based on a much larger painting by Peter F. Rothermel, commissioned by the state of Pennsylvania. The engraving depicted the pivotal moment of the battle, the repulse of Pickett's charge by the Union troops. It was known for its historical accuracy, even though the artist took some artistic liberties with the inclusion of certain figures. Despite some water damage, the print's rarity and historical significance made it valuable. At auction, it's valued at...
Retail shop, I think you'd probably put about $1,800 on it.
Okay.
The guest brought in this framed collection of photographs showcasing scenes from a typical American life. The collection is a family record containing photographs and names of the Hughes family members. It showed several phases of their life, from the childhood days to courtship, going to school, wedding, and other scenes. This is a type of calling card known as carte de visite, a French term. The photographs used two different techniques. The brownish images were carte de visite calling cards, while the darker ones were tintypes, a unique type of portrait photograph. The key within the frame provided clues to the date, placing it in the 1860s or 1870s. These pictures of children are particularly charming and would be very valuable if sold individually. However, the true worth of this piece comes from its completeness. Being in its original frame and showcasing such a wonderful example of vernacular photography, it transcends the value of individual photographs. While the guest only paid $60 for this treasure, the current estimated value in a gallery setting is...
I would imagine a work like this would be somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400.
Oh, amazing. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The guest inherited this unique shaving cup from their grandfather. The cup featured an image of 11 men and a steam shovel, depicting the crew digging the Panama Canal. Shaving mugs like this one were popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with occupational mugs being particularly sought after by collectors. Since the Panama Canal was completed in 1914, this shaving cup would most likely be from that era. Here on the mug, you can also see the guest's grandfather, the one pictured in a white shirt, by his inscribed name on the bottom, a common practice for these personalized mugs. The historical significance and occupational theme of this cup make it a valuable collector's item. At auction, this mug is estimated to fetch about...
If you sold it at auction today, it would not be unreasonable for it to have an estimate of $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, that shocks me.
The guest brought a soapstone carving to the show, which he got from his great-aunt. The art of soapstone carving in the century is a testament to the rich cultural heritage. The process of soapstone carving is as meticulous as it is delicate. It's carved of a type of stone called steatite, which we commonly call soapstone. It's a very soft stone, which was made in China, and it's an example of some of the very best quality stone carving from that period, quite different from the type of carving that is done using jade or quartz. There's incised, very finely, sort of a vine pattern at the edge of his robe. Its softness makes it easy to carve, while its durability ensures longevity in both decorative and practical uses. The appraiser values it at...
The value of this actually is about $4,000 to $6,000.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Really very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Your great-grandfather had great taste.
Thank you.
Petite timepiece, known as a grandmother clock, descended to our guest from her great-aunt. The term grandmother's clock emerged due to its smaller size, previously known as dwarf clocks.
We're looking for a tag name in order to sell a smaller version.
All right.
And everybody's grandmother is a little smaller than their grandfather, and as a result, that name stuck.
This particular clock showcases exquisite craftsmanship with a design reminiscent of 1790s Liverpool styles. Notably featuring intricate carvings and fluted columns, it was likely sold in upscale establishments, akin to those in New Orleans. Crafted around 1900 with an English movement, this clock operates with an 8-day quarter striking movement. Its original works and dial, possibly crafted by Elliot, suggest top-tier craftsmanship from a reputable London firm. The clock's originality and exceptional quality hint at a legacy of timeless elegance and fine craftsmanship.
Would probably sell for around $5,500 to $6,000.
Wow, that's great.
Isn't that great?
You.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's just such a beautiful clock. It really is.
The guest presented an amazing piece that carries a fascinating connection to royalty. It's a Russian Imperial Guard painting, an invaluable legacy.
At some point in his life, he was in the Russian military.
This beautiful painting depicts the guest's maternal grandfather, whose role was to safeguard the bedroom door of the Tsarina.
First of all, this is an inscription here, which does in fact confirm what you're saying.
The guest affirms the painting's significance within their family, stating that its story has already captivated their son. The appraiser shared an interesting story behind this intriguing piece.
So the Lifeguard Brigade was a group of soldiers who were tasked with protecting the lives of the royals.
The inscription reveals that it belonged to the Lifeguards of the 1st Artillery Brigade, a notable position within the Tsar's military. Indeed, it's a piece of history that deserves to be cherished, passing down its story through generations. A conservative estimate places its auction value at,
I would say a conservative auction estimate on it would be about $1,000 to $2,000.
Our guest brought this antique, which is a Landers Frere Clark picnic basket. The appraiser is amazed by the completeness of this item, noting the presence of the original cork in the flask, a detail they've never encountered before. This unique feature adds to the rarity and value of the item, making it a standout piece. In 2018, the item was valued at $150 to $250 at auction, reflecting its uniqueness and appeal to collectors. The guest brought Big Bronco coin-operated horse to the show, which he purchased at the rate of $75. In 1952, the Big Bronco coin-operated horse was introduced, capturing the imagination of children and adults alike. Standing tall and majestic, it was a symbol of the American West, complete with a saddle and reins for an authentic riding experience. Its lifelike movements mimicked those of a real horse, adding to the thrill of the ride. The horse was designed with intricate attention to detail, from its mane to its hooves, creating a realistic appearance. Riders could control the horse's speed and direction, making each ride customizable and exciting. It quickly became a popular attraction in arcades, amusement parks, and other entertainment venues across the country. Its sturdy construction ensured durability, withstanding countless rides over the years. Despite advancements in technology, the charm of Big Bronco has endured, maintaining its appeal through generations. Today, vintage models are sought after by collectors, serving as nostalgic reminders of a bygone era. The appraiser values it at,
I think in this surface, the way it sits at auction, we'd put an estimate of it of $1,500 to $2,500.
Excellent.
Good. Shall we see it play?
Sure.
All right. We drop the coin in here, which triggers it.
And there goes Big Bronco.
The guest arrived bearing a treasure trove from the dawn of the space age, a Mercury Atlas archive. This cherished piece, a testament to her father's service in the Navy, was bestowed upon him as an award in October of 1963. The artifact was a marvel of elegance, a polished plate adorned with two slender aluminum tubes. The appraiser explained with a hint of reverence that these were recovery capsules for the Mercury spacecraft.
For his support of the Mercury mission, right here, Project Mercury, May of 1963.
Etched proudly atop the plate lay the numbers 8 and 9, a silent chronicle of participation in two daring missions. There is an amazing photo that depicts her father, resplendent in his Navy uniform, a silent but proud participant in this historic chapter. They weren't for life support, but for testing a different, critical element of spaceflight. With a smile, the appraiser unveils the fascinating tale behind missions 8 and 9.
These are also two really impressive missions. One was a 9-hour test mission with Wally Schirra, and that was one of the longest missions at the time. The next mission with Gordon Cooper was 34 hours in length.
Infusing this seemingly archaic object with a newfound layer of intrigue.
And what happened after that is the capsule would come down, it would deploy a parachute.
What would be the value of this whole archaic?
$60,000 to $90,000.
Okay. Wow. Wow. I had no idea. No idea whatsoever. That's amazing.
These pot-hast pieces hold a special place in the guest heart, given to her and her husband 40 years ago and inherited from her father. Pot-hast, a favorite son of Cincinnati in the 19th and 20th centuries.
He studied in Germany, he studied in Paris, and in Paris he becomes involved with what was called the Grèce Art Colony.
led him to embrace Impressionism by the late 19th century. The painting, a colorful Impressionist piece, features a lake with sailboats, showcasing Potthast's renowned beach scenes. It measures 12 by 16 inches, a standard size for his paintings. The sketches, though labeled as such, are more likely fully realized studies.
This one shows small vignettes of the children on the beach, executed with pencil.
The back of the work reveals more studies, including infants and various figures, showcasing Potthast's craftsmanship and thought process in creating his figures. One of the pieces was appraised in 1974 for $2,000 to $3,000. Today, the painting is valued at $15,000 to $25,000, and the sketch at $6,000 to $8,000 for auction purposes, potentially valuing the whole set at $20,000 to $30,000 for auction purposes.
Oh my word, that's amazing.
The guest purchased this item in 1980 from a friend with a gallery in Palm Beach, Florida, and received it as part of a divorce settlement in 1985. It is a color etching by Salvador Dali from the Song of Songs of Solomon series.
And it's one of 12 different etchings he made to illustrate that portfolio, which appeared in 1971.
The portfolio typically has 12 different images illustrating the text, and Dali would have signed and numbered the portfolio on the last page. The individual prints were not typically signed by Dali.
You also have an even more suspicious EA down here in the lower left in pencil, and that is a French abbreviation for approved artiste.
However, the appraiser believes this print to be 100% authentic based on its characteristics. The color is stenciled on, and there's an addition of gold dust, which are not typically seen on forged prints. The appraiser suggests removing the signature to increase the value of the print, estimating its value at auction to be around $1,000 to $1,500.
Wow. Okay.
A piece of pottery was showcased by the guest, who received it from her aunt about 35 years ago. The aunt purchased the item from a thrift shop in Queens, New York for $5. The appraiser identified it as a humidor.
This is very often the giveaway for humidor, as it is open, has little holes, so you can put a sponge, a wet sponge, to keep your tobacco products moist.
With marks on the bottom indicating Frederick Sturgis Lawrence as the decorator. The pottery had a beautiful painting with Rookwood standard glaze. The appraiser mentioned that Rookwood was best known for its glossy, amber color finish over painted designs.
And Rookwood pottery purchased from the Bureau of American Ethnology photographs of Native American chiefs, and they would copy those and put those on the vessels like this.
The piece featured Rookwood's flame mark, indicating the year 1898 when it was made. There was also the title and artist's signature, confirming it as a humidor. Considering the pristine condition, the value estimated by the appraiser was,
if you were to put this at auction, would probably be somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000, maybe up to $2,500.
The Guest family acquired this beautiful piece of art clock in England in the early 1960s. The Guest remembered his relative paying around $500 for the clock. The clock was a remarkable example of Black Forest craftsmanship, carved in southern Germany. The clock had intricate details, such as the eagle, dog, and foliage, and its creation date was estimated to be around 1860 or 1870.
This has a French clockworks that was probably made around 1850 or 60.
Despite its age, the clock was described as being in excellent condition. The appraiser valued the clock at approximately $10,000 to $12,000 in today's market. The Guest shared an interesting story of acquiring a unique piece from his mother. Originally, it belonged to a man named Harry Hutchinson. The appraiser identified the item as an escapement model for a clock. The inscription on the piece depicted that it was made for the Hutchinson School, suggesting that Hutchinson ran a school for watchmakers. The model was estimated to have been made in the 19th century, possibly in the 1880s. The item served as a working model for students to graduate from the school. The appraiser admired the remarkable craftsmanship, highlighting the wonderful engraving, beautiful screws, palette, and adjustable pieces. The item was valuable due to its rarity and significance in the world of mechanical watches. Despite missing a few pieces, the appraiser valued the object at
something like this in a shop,
I could easily see $1,500 for it, maybe $2,000 for it.
Well, thank you. I'm surprised it's worth that much money.
It's a very beautiful piece of metalwork.
The guest presented a toy that originally belonged to his father and dated back to around 1890. The appraiser commented on the toy's well-used condition. The toy was made of cast iron and manufactured by a company named Wilkins. The company produced a wide range of toys, including trains, cars, trucks, plows, and mowers. Due to their intricate design and craftsmanship, the toys were popular among children and collectors. The particular piece was called a Wilkins sickle bar mower. Due to its extensive play and wear, the estimated worth of the item was
worth about $400 to $500, but
that's more than I thought it was.
I'm sure it is.
This Hanukkah lamp was given to the guest's father for his bar mitzvah in Germany on April 1, 1933. This was the same day when Hitler's anti-Jewish measures were first enforced. Despite the hardship faced by the guest's grandparents and father while trying to leave Germany in 1938, they made sure to keep the piece safe. This Hanukkah lamp was crafted in the early 20th century. It was made from 800 fine silver and adorned with symbolic motifs such as lions, the ark, and a crown typical of Hanukkah lamps. However, it lacked the shamash, a central candle holder. The appraiser estimated its value at approximately $3,500 for insurance purposes, despite the missing shamash. The guest expressed surprise at its value, but pledged to cherish and preserve it.
Really? I mean, it's not that important, but I'm surprised.
The guest family heirloom was a painting that had been in their family for years. Originally, it was owned by the guest's great-grandmother, dating back to the early 1900s. The appraiser identified it as a watercolor on paper by Olaf Karl Seltzer. Initially, Seltzer started painting as a hobby and later became friends with a renowned Western artist named Charles Russell.
So he became very good friends with Russell, and Russell decided he was going to teach Olaf how to paint. By about 1901, so very soon after he met Russell, he was a pretty good and confident painter.
The particular painting bore Seltzer's signature and was dated 1905. This piece was one of the artist's early works. Considering its historical significance and quality, the estimated value of the painting was
an auction estimate today for this size work in watercolor by Seltzer would be $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow.
The guest arrived with a unique bronze sculpture at the show. He finds this at a thrift store for a mere $8.99. The appraiser reveals this wonderful sculpture to be by Gusten Borglum, the famous sculptor behind Mount Rushmore.
And you did a little bit of research, so the artist is Gusten Borglum, the sculptor of Mount Rushmore. He's one of the more prolific American sculptors of the earlier part of the 20th century.
This piece, however, is a lesser-known work depicting Roman Emperor Nero. It's an unusual subject matter for an American sculptor of that time. The unique piece of art was crafted for the 1904 St. Louis Exposition.
This was a piece that was exhibited at the St. Louis Exposition of 1904, and it's sort of an unusual subject matter for an American sculptor.
And cast by the Roman Bronzework Foundry in New York. While details on how many were cast are unclear, the appraiser suggests contacting the Amon Carter Museum, which might have records from the foundry. This item shows signs of green corrosion, similar to the Statue of Liberty. Despite the condition, the appraiser estimates the value of this rare Borglum sculpture to be
I think in a gallery setting, this would probably be in the $6,000 to $8,000 price range.
Right? That's wonderful.
The guest brought in a set of 3 magnificent sculptural salt cellars made of silver. The guest, unaware of the history and value of these treasures, had inherited them from his father. These items are the work of Paul Storr, a renowned 18th century British goldsmith. This piece, even more special than the others, was dated 1811, making it 2 years earlier than its companions. The design itself drew inspiration from 16th century salt cellars, featuring shells held by mythical sea creatures like mermaids and tritons. Storr might have been influenced by similar pieces created by Nicholas Spontane, which Storr might have seen or even repaired while working for King George III. The quality of the craftsmanship is exceptional, particularly the intricate details of the mermen figures and thick, beautiful gilding. Considering the prestige of the maker, the historical inspiration, and the excellent condition, it is worth
I think I'd have to be looking
At £40,000.
Good Lord. You do surprise me.
This woman brought a wonderful, unique vase to the show, inherited from her father. It was crafted in Flemington by Fulper Pottery. Fulper was a company with a long history of utilitarian stoneware. It was the earliest Fulper mark, dating the piece to 1909 or 1910.
Fulper had a bunch of different marks, but this is their earliest one, this rectangular ink stamp mark.
The company had transitioned from utilitarian ware to art pottery under the influence of a renowned designer. They ditched the salt-glazed mugs and crocks for something more artistic, led by a German designer named John Martin Stengel.
They straddle a line between art pottery and commercial ware. Real art pottery is something that someone sits down and makes from scratch.
This piece straddled the line, molded like Fulper's early works, but intricate and rare. Fulper's creation walked a tightrope between art and production lines. Turning the vase over, the appraiser remarked on its remarkable condition.
These typically came with green glazes because it goes well with the idea of there being cattails and the sylvan quality of the piece itself.
While Fulper pieces had declined in value overall, this vase could fetch a surprising value at auction.
At auction, again, between $5,000 and $7,000. Condition's great. It could use a good cleaning.
Wonderful. I had no idea it was worth that much. That's terrific.
This exquisite parasol has a remarkable history, originating from Queen Victoria's court. The previous owner, associated with the Queen's court guard,
Queen Victoria presented this to her as a gift.
Remarkably preserved, the parasol showcases a stunning combination of silk and lace. Its porcelain handle, adorned with gilt, adds a touch of elegance. The top features a marvelous portrait of Queen Victoria, with an open cartouche for personalization. The initials VR signify Victoria Regina, dating back to her coronation in 1837. Despite its age, the parasol's impeccable condition allows us to see the maker's name inside.
And it says Paragon Fox & Company Limited.
This British royal commemorative item is a rare find and is valued between
$2,000 to $3,000 today at auction.
Oh my. Oh. I will take better care than I did.
Its exceptional condition and historical significance make it a truly remarkable piece.
Let's step into the past and explore the enchanting world of vintage illustrations.
Especially the large one, which reminded me and my father. He died when I was 8, and I just cherished that one.
The guest made an investment of $7 for the captivating large piece and only $3 for the small one. These illustrations, made in 1936, are by an artist named Frances Tipton Hunter, and we can see her signature. Beyond being mere pictures, these illustrations serve as striking testaments to the artist's mastery, transforming into timeless capsules of history.
And I think your idea of thinking of your father when you saw this piece is really something that comes through with the great illustrator.
Each illustration carries a fragment of nostalgia, from magazine covers to children's books. These illustrations embellish the pages of history, imprinting an enduring impression on art enthusiasts. Each illustration has its own story to tell, and the owner feels privileged to be its caretaker.
It's probably worth about $1,500 to $2,500.
These once prized treasures are now tempting steals between $800 and $1,200. A Giuseppe Verdi signed musical manuscript was brought to the show by a guest who inherited it from his dad after it was acquired from a Jewish family friend. This excerpt is from Giuseppe Verdi's opera La Traviata, which emphasizes the unique bond of friendship as Giuseppe Verdi himself wrote it in 1858 at the request of one of his friends. Unlike common musical autographs that typically consist of only 3 bars, this manuscript contains 16 full musical phrases, including Verdi's signature and the date it was written. The detailed documentation of this manuscript makes it a special piece that fulfills all the criteria collectors seek in manuscripts. Despite few conditional problems, the appraiser values this musical manuscript at around $8,000 to $12,000.
Really? Yeah. Okay. That's very, very nice. Now I know for insurance purposes.
The appraiser further reiterated that if the manuscript were to be insured, it could be valued at around $16,000.
Very pleasing.
The guest inherited a candlestick from Mrs. Pintiger, a philanthropist in Idaho. Mrs. Pintiger was a doctor who retired in the early 1900s.
Idaho, she donated all the land for the Girl Scout camp.
The guest believes the candlesticks are European. The appraiser identifies them as Japanese Art Nouveau from the 1890s to 1910s.
Produced for the French market.
Oh, interesting.
Because everybody knew that the French loved this style.
The candlesticks were made by Samurai Silversmith in Japan and exported to France. They have a hidden hole for lamp conversion.
There is a hole, and the hole goes all the way through to the bottom.
So they can be a lamp.
So they could be electrified if the owner so wished.
Huh.
The guest guesses the value at $4,000. The appraiser reveals the actual value to be
worth $10,000 to $15,000 if they were to come to auction.
Wow. Wow. That's wonderful.
The guest brought in a portrait believed to depict two sisters, one of whom was her great-grandmother. While the family history suggested the artist might be Romney or Lawrence, this doesn't seem to be so. The stylistic differences in the brushwork didn't align with either Romney's angular strokes or Lawrence's flamboyant style. Instead, the painting is attributed to Sir William Beechey, a lesser-known but competent artist with a more conservative approach. The painting is dated around 1800 with the skillful rendering of the faces, although the placement of one hand is a bit awkward. The unknown history surrounding the painting further added to the intrigue. While the guest had no idea of the painting's current value, past valuations placed it at a mere £5. However, the estimated value of this painting in the current market would be in the range of...
We were somewhere in the region of sort of 15, maybe as much as £20,000.
Which is that?
A beautiful platinum bracelet adorned with diamonds and sapphire gleams on the table. It belonged to the guest's great-great-aunt, a woman shrouded in the mystery of time. It's a captivating piece with a rich history, crafted sometime in the 1920s or 1930s. It embodies the glamour and geometric patterns of the Art Deco period. While the exact maker remains unknown, similar styles were often produced by small, independent watch companies like Banner. These companies focused on creating exquisite jewelry pieces, with the watch itself playing a secondary role. Its substantial weight, a testament to the 57 pennyweights of platinum used, speaks volumes about the quality of craftsmanship. Full-cut diamonds, totaling 1 carat, sparkle brilliantly alongside a mesmerizing array of square-cut and rectangular-cut sapphires, another carat of captivating color.
You would pull this section out.
Yes, and wind the watch.
And wind the watch, correct.
Yes.
And then you would snap it back in.
With its built-in spring and innovative safety mechanism, this unique clasp showcases the ingenuity of its creator. What would be the true value of this bracelet today?
So, if you had to replace it today, we think it's somewhere around $25,000.
Wow.
A doll was showcased at the show by the guest. Originally, it belonged to her mother, who played with it as a child. The appraiser identified the doll as being from the 1920s or 1930s with German origin. It was manufactured by a company named Kestner. The doll has lovely eyes and original clothes made of silk. As time passed, the doll's original clothes got old and worn out.
A few years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, I went to a little local doll show and bought this little outfit, and now we have it under a glass dome on the mantle.
The doll is now displayed under a glass dome on the mantle. The appraiser identified the doll's materials, noting that the head is made of bisque with a human hair wig. The body was composed of papier-mâché with a movable head and arms. Considering its overall condition, the value decided by the appraiser was...
The value of him is between $4,000 and $6,000.
Oh my goodness. I'm totally surprised. I would never have dreamed.
This woman brought an amazing copper and silver tankard, crafted by Carl Kipp, a master coppersmith of the early 20th century.
Copper was the preferred metal of the arts and crafts period. It was cheap, it was available, it was malleable.
Initially associated with Roycroft, Kipp eventually founded his own studio, 2K Studio, around 1913 to 1915. However, fate intervened, drawing him back to Roycroft after the tragic sinking of the Lusitania. This tankard, a testament to Kipp's skills, combines copper with German nickel-silver, showcasing the essence of the arts and crafts movement. Its flip lid, adorned with silver designs and a lapis cabochon, speaks volumes of Kip's ingenuity. Rare and precious, only a handful exist, making this discovery extraordinary. Valued between $10,000 and $15,000, with past sales reaching $30,000.
But at auction, I'd estimate this for somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Wow.
The last one I had, I sold for $30,000.
Wow.
The painting was showcased by the guest, who speculated her father might have bought it. The beautiful piece depicted a snow scene in a French village from the early 20th century. The painting possessed an impressionist style of art, which had started in 1870, which made the paintings look lively and animated. The signature on the bottom depicted it was made by Gustave Loiseau, a second-rate impressionist influenced by Monet and Pissarro. Despite not reaching the same level as the top impressionist,
this artist is clearly aware he's enthralled of it all, but he's not quite learnt to have the same vision and clarity as those artists, but nonetheless he's learnt the language.
Loiseau's work still carried value. The estimated value of the particular piece was...
It's still worth between about £10,000 and £15,000.
Oh, goodness.
This gun belonged to the guest grandparents, who were missionaries in Korea from 1890 to 1908, purchased by the guest grandfather from a Korean tiger hunter. It dates back to a sensitive time in Korean history, just before the Japanese occupation in 1911.
And we're looking for any kind of foreign help to help them out of the situation they were involved in.
The gun is an exceptional rarity, being a matchlock. It's a very early form of gun, with a cord soaked in saltpeter used to ignite it. It features a hardwood stock, a handmade barrel, and is a model that the Koreans kept because of its effectiveness. The gun is likely from the 19th or even 18th century, and at auction could fetch an estimate of $3,000 to $5,000, with a retail value potentially reaching $10,000 to $15,000 due to its rarity and historical significance.
Really? Well, thank you. I've wondered for years what kind of gun it was and when it might have been made.
The guest brought in jewelry that belonged to her great-aunt. The jewelry included a pendant adorned with 2 pear-shaped diamonds and a Burmese ruby. The large one was 2.5 carats, and the smaller one was 1.5 carats. Additionally, there was a ring containing a diamond, roughly around 3 carats, and a 2.5 carat ruby. The ring was estimated to be from around 1925 and made by a high-quality jeweler. Another item was a diamond and ruby bracelet with a center stone of 3.5 carats, along with 31 rubies.
Those weigh 27 carats. You have 70 baguette diamonds and 144 round diamonds. And that comes to close to 15 carats of diamonds.
The rubies were of exceptional quality, and the center stone having a tiny bit of white, but still considered rare. The entire collection was valued at approximately...
The 3 pieces together in today's market is worth somewhere about $257,000 in that area.
Wow.
It is magnificent.
Thank you.
A symbol of timeless elegance, adorning with grace and sophistication. This was the necklace that her aunt gave to her 25 years ago. The signature inside the box reads Tiffany & Company, New York and Paris. It's a legendary luxury jeweler, epitomizing timeless elegance worldwide. The necklace is crafted from 18-karat gold. This necklace embodies the Etruscan revival style, with several pieces attributed to Boucheron, a French firm, for Tiffany. This Boucheron-associated piece exceeds $25,000.
My goodness. Oh. I'm in shock right now.
The guest brought in a fascinating pocket watch he inherited from his father. It is a full calendar watch with moon phase complications, an incredibly intricate design featuring 7 subsidiary dials. These dials displayed the time in various major cities around the world, including Paris, New York, St. Petersburg, Kolkata, and Melbourne. While the guest wasn't sure of the watch's purpose, it is a likely luxury item for wealthy travelers who could keep track of time across different time zones. The sheer number of complications suggested it was a seriously rich man's toy, a status symbol showcasing not just wealth, but also a worldly perspective. Despite being tucked away for decades, the watch was in remarkable condition. Considering its rarity and complexity, it is estimated to have a value of
£4,000 as a starting figure.
As seen, it displays an eccentric view. Released in 1905 and written by Edward Burne-Jones, an expert artist who lived from early 1830s to the late 1800s. This book, called the Flower Book, is unique in the sense that it has no pictures of flowers.
It's the flower book, but there's no pictures of flowers.
I know.
In fact, the book houses many different paintings whose names were inspired by flower names. Inside the book, we have a painting named Jacob's Ladder. We also have another named The Key to Spring, which depicts the springtime. When we look at a beautiful artistic book such as this, it is hard to put a value on it. Nevertheless, it auctions at...
If you had to replace this, that raises the price from 15 to maybe 25,000 or more.
We had no idea about that, yeah. That's unbelievable.
This also called as Fire Dogs. It combines functionality with timeless beauty, enhancing the ambiance of any fireplace setting. It's from the guest parents that spent 2 months' wages to purchase them. This is a 1920s fireplace and irons. Though unsigned, the value of this is around $400 to $600.
Passed down from his wife's family to the guest and his children, this oil painting by Louis Aston Knight is a perfect blend of sheer artwork and creativity. Mr. Knight was fond of drawing beautiful scenes that he had experienced, and he did it in such an almost perfect way. This painting, being no different, is what you would find in a late 19th century to early 20th century collection.
Late 19th century, early 20th century collection. This is by an artist by the name of Louis Aston Knight. He was born in 1873 to a painter by the name of Daniel Ridgway Knight.
Likely drawn in 1910, as someone whose interest was in painting mills and cottages, he painted this one to depict a cottage at night. Only a few men at the time could boast of an artwork that was so detailed, and it was no wonder this painting fetched a high value at
$45,000 to $50,000 these days.
All right, okay.
Chinese pottery is highly sought after. On the show today, we have a guest who presented this ancient Chinese piece of pottery. It was acquired by the guest's parents in the 1960s at an antique shop in Chicago. This piece originated from South China.
It was made in South China, probably in Canton province.
It symbolizes a Qing dynasty official. On both the front and back side of this pottery, there are plaques that serve as rank badges. Additionally, it features a court necklace around its neck and possibly an otter's fur cap on its head, denoting its official status. Upon closer inspection, we can observe a depiction of a dragon robe, symbolizing honor. Pieces like this one typically originate from the early 1800s. Although this piece has sustained some damage, it can be easily repaired. The minor damage does not diminish its value that much, and when you look at its rarity and the fact that it is not easy to come by, this piece would sell for around
$40,000.
Okay, cool.
And wouldn't be surprised at all if it sold for more.
That would be neat.
This piece is a Chinese porcelain vase, inherited by the guest from his grandmother. A pastiche of the best of Chinese porcelain production in the Qing dynasty. What's interesting about this vase is the exquisite enamel painting, the marvelous landscape scene, gilded work, and molded decoration of dragons and leafy tendrils. Despite its Qing dynasty aesthetic, this vase is a product of the Republican period. Also, it is a testament to the continuation of traditional craftsmanship during a period of change in Chinese history. However, this piece is not just a beautiful decorative vase, it is also a tangible link to the past, preserving the artistry and craftsmanship of a bygone era, making it a highly valued piece that would sell for
$6,000 and $8,000.
Oh, wow. Damn.
And you know what?
What?
If all the gilding were intact,
Yeah.
it'd be worth at least $10,000 to $15,000 at auction.
Jeez.
The guest presented a mantel clock made in Paris that was purchased from a family friend. This clock was sold to people who often case their clocks or styles. Most likely an unusual clock that featured a brass case that had a champalive decoration.
Now, champalive is a process of enamel where they put enamel that's divided by brass.
Also, it has an up dial with a wonderful floral decoration on the inside of the time ring. This piece is unique and differs from the standard ones that were just plain white. However, its wonderful feet come in a form of an animal paw, which indicates the well-detailed artistry that went into its casting. In addition to that, the piece has fully turned columns that are decorated and inset into the case. Considering the extra time spent in casting this piece and the Champs-Élysées decoration, it is worth an estimated value of
$2,500 to $3,000 for it.
It's great.
That's a pretty good buy.
It's beautiful.